In 1979, I obtained my first computer, an Apple II, from a friend who was in the computer business, making interfaces. His name is Joe Wilson, who made interfaces for the Apple II. And initially, Joe Wilson had done graduate work at the University of Pennsylvania interfacing a computer, not an Apple, but a computer to an early analog music synthesizer. Well, I had my ARP 2600 synthesizer from the days way back in when I had gotten my Guggenheim, and I was very interested in being able to essentially create some kind of a sequencer, thing that would remember notes. Joe's company, Interactive Structures, created those kinds of interface cards for that computer, so I was very interested in pursuing that. And with Joe's help and another friend, Dave Turner, I obtained the Apple II. Actually, I obtained the manual to the Apple II before I'd actually gotten the computer, started reading through it, and discovered that it had things called graphic pages, which was a very, very interesting notion. In other words, that this computer could do certain kinds of graphics. That really piqued my interest. I learned programming, and eventually, through user groups and the help of Joe and Dave, I was able to obtain a device that could actually, you could point a black and white video camera and digitize aspects of that. This image is actually from an interactive piece I did with a dance company, Group Motion. But it's kind of a nice intro to the the computer. A little out of sequence, but I believe this was more in 1984. We did this performance. But this early work utilizing a black and white video camera and then bringing those elements into the computer was extremely exciting to me, because it indicated that although I had been for many years utilizing both photographic and manual manipulations of the image, the computer to me was the most plastic of media. That is, we could mold the look of an image rather extensively, and of the photographic image in particular. This work actually is a body of work that I utilized. I would cut out images from magazines and then collage that together, and I titled it Electronic Collage, because I would then point the video camera at it, digitize that, and then make manipulations in and recombinations in the computer as I became a little more adept at both programming, utilizing programs, and getting help primarily from my friend Dave Turner. This image actually was, again, an Apple II or Apple IIe image that was in a show at, let's see, that was organized by Cynthia Goodman and Darcy Gerberg, that was in a book, and in the show traveled a little bit to from the Everson Museum in New York and the IBM Museum in New York City. But these images were then again utilizing the video camera. This actually was an actual image, not anything obtained from collage. and I became, more and more engrossed in that. This actually is a big jump back. I might have put this more towards the beginning of this section, but this is an image that was created utilizing a program that I had written for the Apple II, where I would trace various other kinds of images from magazines or my own, depending on what I was interested at the time. And then I could take those data points, bring them together, and manipulate them in the limited color palette of the Apple II at that time. But again, really manipulating the spatial dynamics of what was going on in the frame, and going back to that interest in actually making or creating a kind of dynamic of, from scenes that were pretty mundane, but could then later become more of a kind of a drama. So it was a way of inventing a drama, or continuing to invent dramas in that frame. As I obtained more sophisticated digitizing equipment, I was able to work with grayscale, and these are actually prints that were initially done with dot matrix printers on high quality cotton-based paper. And then later I was able to take that same image base and go to and have it printed onto photographic paper. So these are a series of images, and this image began to utilize the new Macintosh computer. It was a digitizer that went onto a Macintosh and gave much greater range of grayscale, and became more and more like a real photograph. Of course, we're not there yet. This is probably around 1984, 85. I also was able to work, I did some outside work for a pharmaceutical company, and in the process was able to obtain some, one of the first really high quality inkjet printers. And this was in about 1985, utilizing not only actually an older Apple II-like computer system, but interfaced with a high resolution, at that time high resolution video interface that could capture still images and then apply false color to that, and then print that out on this printer, which was really a fabulous device, very sturdy and with huge ink capacities, and actually it turns out pretty viable inks. I still have prints from that time that are holding up pretty well, which is good. So these were, the prior image was actually from one of my photographs. This one is from an electronic collage. And when creating these images, I actually had to type in certain numeric codes in order to get certain color palettes to print out. So it was a fairly elaborate process, but very rewarding nevertheless. So I started to do a whole series called Images, Idols, because the idols coming from I guess the magazines, newspapers, things like that, that were kind of the idols of the time, but recombining them into completely different contexts. So this is all work from that that period around 85 to probably 88, 89. This is a show at this is from a show at the University Science Center. I think it was Art and Science 5. It was an exhibition of 3 artists, Lois Johnson, Phil Simpkin, and myself. Phil had his, well, his diner on the outside of the building, and Lois had a series of prints, and I had these prints along with a computer that was continuously running a piece that I had done, which was really my first, no, I'm sorry, that's not true. I was going to say my first multimedia piece, but that was not true. I made several multimedia pieces with the Apple II, but my first multimedia piece with the Macintosh. The piece was called Victims. There was a poem that I wrote, and the computer would say this poem, would speak the poem with, of course, its very computer voice, and then a series of images from Bergen-Belsen concentration camp would run. And it was really dedicated to all victims of tyranny. And for a short time, I was able to sell some of these discs and donate the profits to, which were quite modest, I have to say, to Amnesty International. But these were prints that were then both printed and then utilized. I utilized a. Well, I had to go to a place where they would encapsulate them in a large scale machine that would laminate the prints together, so that would preserve the actual prints. Later, in about the 1987, 88, perhaps, well, I think in 86 I obtained my first Amiga computer, but I started to utilize the much greater color possibilities of the Amiga. And I created a series, again, of electronic collages, but this was based on a reaction I had to, a very emotional reaction I had to a couple, a married couple that we knew, who used to have the most bitter arguments in front of anybody, and I eventually created a whole series of images that I titled Deceptions, and it also became a video piece, both print and video. And of course, this is something that I've continued to work with, where I will have images that are printed, but also oftentimes part of some other kind of media piece. But again, these are all Amiga prints, well, from the Amiga printed onto an earlier Xerox printer. This was a result of a program that Dave Turner helped write with me, and where actually I spec'd it out and he did the coding, where I could break up images from that original piece and then print them out. And I actually had Matt's cut that would cover the actual, just show through the actual fragmented images. This jumps to much more recent work, it starts, this is a series called Sky Maps, starts with photographic images essentially of clouds, but manipulated in the computer to look more like terrestrial maps, topographic maps of one kind or another. The notion of a matrix has been quite interesting to me, and something that I've also pursued for quite some time.